Hello everyone. In this lecture, we will talk about the histology of glands. First of all, you should know what is gland. Gland is just your body regular epithelium. When some part of epithelium become specialized and start performing secretory function, then that part of epithelium will become gland. And let's talk with some examples. So this is your normal body epithelium, and if one or more than one cell start secreting materials, it becomes gland. If one cell starts secreting materials, then the gland is called as unicellular gland. If more than one cell involved in secreting the material, then the gland is called as multicellular gland. So depending on the number of cells involved in the secretory function, gland can be divided into unicellular and multicellular. So how gland is formed? This is your epithelium. What happens in the epithelium? Some of the cell start forming more than one layer of cell, and that is called as cell bud. And these cell bud are the precursor for the glands. If there is a lumen formation occur in the cell bud, then it is called as exocrine gland. And if the cell bud get detached from the epithelium, then it is called as endocrine gland. The endocrine gland and exocrine gland, what is the difference? The difference is of duct. Look, in exocrine gland it has a conducting part, and that conducting part is called as duct. But in endocrine gland there is no conducting part, so that's why endocrine gland is also called as ductless gland. And the endocrine gland are in close contact with the blood vessel because they release their secretion directly into the blood. That's why endocrine gland are highly vascular. But in exocrine gland, the secretion is released through the ducts over the surface, and that's why it is called as exocrine gland. Endocrine gland is highly vascular, but exocrine gland is not. And glands can be divided depending upon many criterias. The first one I talked there about cells. If the cells are involved one, then it is called as unicellular, and if the multiple cells involved, then the gland will be called as multicellular gland. And depending upon the number of ducts, gland is also divided. If the gland has only one duct, like in this one, then it is called as simple gland. And if the gland has more than one duct, like in this one, this gland has 3 duct. This is 1, 2, and this one is 3. So it is called as compound gland. So let's talk about simple gland. Simple gland is also divided depending upon the shape of this part of gland is called as secretory part, and this part of gland is called as conducting part. So in this lecture, because we are talking about the exocrine gland, so in exocrine gland, the secretory part, it's on the basis of its shape, gland can be divided. If it's look like alveoli, or you can say balloon, that gland is called as alveolar gland, or also called as acinar gland. But if the secretory part shape is like a tube, then that gland is called as tubular gland, since it has only one duct, and that's why it is called as simple tubular gland, and it is also called as simple alveolar gland. And in this picture, as you see, it also has one duct, so it is also a simple gland, but it has many alveoli. You see, it has many alveoli, 1 2 3, and that's why it is like a branch. It looks like a branch, and therefore it is called as simple branched alveolar gland. And in tubular gland, if the tube get bent, if the tip of tube get bent, then it become simple coiled tubular gland. So this is all about simple gland. Always remember, simple gland always has one duct, and if the gland has more than one duct, then it no more simple, it become complex, or you can say compound. So in this picture, as you can see, this is the epithelium, and it continue to form glands, and here you can see more than one ducts are present. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Since there are more than one ducts, it is called as compound gland. And when you see the secretory part of the gland, it looks like alveoli. That's why it is called as compound alveolar gland. And in this picture also, there are more than one ducts, so it is compound gland. And if you look at the shape of the secretory part of gland, it looks like tubule. That's why it is called as compound tubular gland. And in this picture, you will see that the some of gland look like alveoli, and some of them look like tubule. Means in same gland, alveolar type and tubular type both are present, and it also has multiple duct, more than one duct, and that's why it is called as compound tubulo alveolar gland. So on the basis of number of duct, gland is divided into two parts. If the gland has only one duct, then it is called as simple gland. If the gland has more than one duct, it is called as compound gland. And gland is also divided on the basis of secretion. So on the basis of secretion, gland is also divided into two types. One is serous gland, and another one is mucus gland. Serous gland has watery secretion, and the mucus gland has mucus like secretion. And on the basis of mechanism, glands is also divided. So as you see, this is a gland. This is one gland, and its continuation. What you are seeing in this picture, development of gland. So this is phase 1 of development, this is 2 and this is 3. In phase 1 you can see this is the cell, it is the nucleus, Golgi body, and you see that there are some material starting forming in the first cell, and after some time this material gets surrounded with the vesicle. It basically form a plasma membrane, and when the cell get fully matured, this vesicle comes out of the cell by a process called as exocytosis, and the secretion comes out through this. So in this gland, as you can see, cells are intact, cells remain intact, and this type of gland is called as merocrine gland. If we talk about the example of merocrine gland, sweat gland is an example of merocrine gland. And in this picture, as you can see, as the cell get matured, it look like pinched off, like someone pinched off the cell, look like pinched off, means as cell get matured it no more remain intact. In here cells are not intact. And that kind of gland is called as apocrine gland. If we talk about the example of apocrine gland, you can easily remember with a trick called as MAP, where M stands for mammary gland and A and P stand for atypical sweat gland of axilla and pubis. And in this picture you will see that the cell is also get involved, means cell get completely destroyed. To release the substance, and such kind of gland is called as holocrine gland. And the holocrine gland is seen in the oil gland, or you can say sebaceous gland. So on the basis of mechanism of secretion, glands are divided into 3 types: merocrine gland, apocrine gland and holocrine gland. And if we talk about the examples, generally the simple alveolar gland is not seen in adult. Actually it is a part of development into the simple branch alveolar gland. Simple branch alveolar gland mainly seen in the merocrine sweat gland, and the simple tubular gland is seen in the intestinal gland, and the simple coiled tubular gland it is seen in the sebaceous or oil gland. And if we talk about the example of compound alveolar gland, it is seen in the mammary gland. And the compound tubular gland, the compound tubular gland is mainly seen in the mucous gland of mouth, and bulbourethral gland in male reproductive system, and seminiferous tubule in testes. And if you talk about the example of compound tubuloalveolar gland, the compound tubuloalveolar gland is seen in the salivary gland, and it is also seen in the respiratory glands of respiratory passage. So this is a concise information about the histology of gland. If you found this video useful, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe.